My name's Rusty Sitton. I'm the Redneck boat guy. I build two-cylinder racing outboard boats. I build the props to go on them, and we also sail a 33-foot catamaran named See Y'all Later. Hope you enjoy the channel. Good morning. It's real early in the morning. I got up thinking about props, went to bed thinking about props, and wanted to put something out this morning about prop selection and a couple other things, but primarily let's start out with prop selection. What I have found that a cleaver is normally a little bit better on top end, but doesn't handle the boat quite as well. Maybe doesn't come off the turns quite as well, but it's going to show you, normally a good cleaver is going to show you more top end than a round blade, but it may not ET quite as well. And then something in the middle as far as the blade pattern goes is what's called a tulip design. This is my best 80 wheel right here. Yamato seems to like that tulip quite well, but it's kind of a halfway between a round blade and a cleaver. And around the course, a true round blade seems to be, if you get it tuned just right, seems to be the best way to go, probably the best ET prop. So going back to the three kinds of what I'd call standard propellers, and this is what I call my fireball blade. It's got the round blade in here, but it's got the tips of a cleaver. See? So I'm trying for enough body here that will handle a boat well and have that little 1 mile an hour tail at top end. And so far, this prop has done well. I built it and we put it on our Mod 102. It's worked well for us. I haven't changed it. I like a mile an hour a little bit better with it, but right now it's set up for acceleration and it does really well that way. And I'm not going to change it until I can beat that prop with something else. I'm trying to build a prop out of a blank, and when I say I build a prop, what I do is I'll take another prop and cut it down. That's what I did with this one. This was a big old, it was a cleaver, big old cleaver, and I cut it down. And this is a prop that I'm looking at cutting down. It's just a big old wheel. The problem with it is that the tips are real low. See, this is the fireball pattern right there. That's the pattern that I cut off of this, and it won't make it. You know, the tips, I don't know if you can see, see it's that much short on the tips, and that would be deadly. I'm not going to try to replicate it because it's just not big enough there. But that's what I like to do, is I'll take an old ugly prop like this one and use it just for the metal in it. Now, what you see here, where taking this blue off, that is very close to my 409 blade, which is a geared wheel, but and I'm primarily building Yamato wheels right now, but I think that might be the closest thing. I like this blade pattern, and I'm thinking of making a little bit smaller one of these blade patterns out of that wheel, and trying to build us a good true round blade wheel, a good short course, big diameter Mod 102 wheel. We'd mentioned about blade progression and what that amounts to, and kind of why high progression leads to more acceleration, but low progression is great for top end. I wanted to talk about a couple of props here. This is my best 102 wheel. It's my best 80 wheel. And this is a wheel I ran on a geared unit with a 22 cubic inch OMC and went 83 miles an hour with it. And if you see, that's got 0.8 inches of progression. It's almost straight pitch from here to here. So at top end, that whole blade, now it has to be the right pitch, but that whole blade is at the right pitch to pull at top end. It's got a little bit of progression, but not much. The only reason this prop accelerates at all is because it's got a fairly thin tip. You know, it doesn't have a lot of blade area out here, so it can slip through and spin, but it's got a little bit of tail on the top end, and that's why I chose this prop over, say, a round blade. You know, this was my second best prop at the time, but it was a round blade, and a little bit smaller diameter, had more punch, but it didn't quite have the top end that this one had. And I'm sure it's because of the low blade progression. Anyway, this prop here has got quite a bit of rake to it, if you see. It's got quite a bit of rake there, you know, coming up this way. So, and what I like is if you look right down the back end of it, right, it's got a little arch to it this way. It's not a straight cleaver. It doesn't mean the tips are laid back. What it means is it's got a little more pitch right here where it can pull it. So anyway, I like this blade. I like it because it's a light prop. It's, you know, fairly thin, but it's got some meat, you know, on the back end. It's not a flyweight. Interestingly enough, see, it's 8.3 on the tips, and guess what this one is? It's 8.3 on the tips, but it's closer in, so it's easier to pull that same pitch than it is on a big wheel, bigger diameter. So it's the same pitch, but it's not in the same place. You know, if this prop went on out, it'd probably be an 8 pitch, a flat 8 pitch. And speaking of 8 pitch on the end, look at this mammer jammer. This is a Wachowski prop, and I bought it. It's never been run. I bought it off of Woody Leon. I think his dad had it and was going to try it on some of his pro stuff. It was definitely too much pitch for what we needed, and it's a hardened prop. I don't know if you see that it's been hardened. So man, bending that thing is like a pain in the wazoo. But I've got it pretty close in here to what I know we need. The only thing I don't know about this prop, of course, it's got a big old tip on it and nothing in here for acceleration. So this one has got to be, for it to work, it's not going to be a great accelerating prop, but it should be a top-end machine if I can get the tips right, because that's where it's pulling. That's where all the umph is on this prop. We ran the prop and we couldn't pull it, even at an 8-pitch tip, and where, you know, I'm 8.3 here. But man, that's where everything happens on this one. What my plan is to reduce the pitch on this thing at the tips. There's one blue one. Before we go back and test it, and I'm fixing to do it here, I'm going to bend that prop like right through here. I'm going to leave the 8 here instead of 8 on the starting. I'm going to go down to about 7.8. So you can see that sun gun is straight. I mean, it's flat. There's no progression to it at all. So if I could get it exactly the right pitch, like I say, for top end, it would be great. It'd be a good top end long course wheel. So I am going to put a little bit of progression in it, maybe, like I say, a 0.3 of progression in the tip. Like I say, this straightaway wheel's got 0.8. My 80 wheel's got 1.5. And my 102 wheel's got 2.3 inches of progression in it. And this wheel definitely pulls better out of the corners, but I'm not sure that it's top-ended like it should. So Floyd Hopkins props. The way Floyd would make a prop run, and it was kind of hard to tune, but Floyd put a lot of bend in that prop this way. So he would make a big arch from the inside to the outside, a big arch like that, and that would be the acceleration. It would let that blade spin up. It's got quite a bit of arch down here, but nothing up here. This is that big ugly that just. Let's look at the 409. It's got quite a bit of arch all the way out to the tip. I don't know if you can see it that way. Let's see if we can line it up. But from, you know, a lot of the props from here to here have an arch this way. But this one, and the reason I think it accelerates so well, is that arch comes way up here. You know, it's arched for a long distance. And what that arch is doing, not only letting water pass here that it's not grabbing so it can accelerate better, if it's arched up here, it's driving that water inboard, which I think is one of the keys to making this wheel shift gears. So if you look at the acceleration shelf on this one, if you look, let's see, let me draw it. See that line right there? Everything outside of that is acceleration. And it's got a big acceleration shelf. And then it's got the hummingbird wing here for top end. But that's what I like, and that's what I'm building in the prop. It's a geared wheel, so it's got a big acceleration shelf. So after looking at this prop for many, many years, that's what I've kind of gleaned about why this thing works. I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wild looking thing, beat on it a little bit. I want to take some of the pitch off that tip and see if we can spin it, see if I can make it do any good, see if we can make a long course wheel out of it. Brace it up to where right through here is solid on the angle that I want to bend it, and then I'll hit down right here. Like I say, this is a hardened blade, so it's going to be hard as heck to bend. Yeah, I'm the world's worst prop maker. I got the least effective tools on planet Earth. I don't think it bent much, if any. That son gun is hard. I think I did bend it a little bit though. Yeah. Alright. 7.7. Actually almost 7.6. Which I like that. Alright. Well, that changed that blade up a little bit. Maybe it'll give us a little acceleration and not be quite so tall. I know it will, because that's a huge blade area. So now I've got 0.3 inches of pitch progression on the tips. They ain't much though. I mean, you can see that dude is not curved very much. But if I can get that amount of blade pulling in exactly the right pitch, with that narrow blade, it'll spin up out of the turns. It's even got an acceleration curve to it. A little bit of acceleration curve where it's not catching as much water. But a long skinny blade ought to be pretty dead-gum fast if I can get the tips working just right. So that'll be fun. That'll be something to try. Maybe give it to a hydro guy and see if he can do anything with it. Let's see. I wanted to increase the pitch on one of these Rick Babin props. 11.3 needs to go to 12.2. The tips on this one are laid out way bad. Need to pull the tips up on them. Man, you open the tips up on a prop and lay them out like that, that's deadly. I don't know if you can see it, but the tip is laid open on that thing. And if that tip is off, that's going to be a slow son of a gun. It's dumping water off the end of the blade instead of making power with it. Let's see if I can bring those tips back up a little bit. Now this prop's going to be a lot easier to bend. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Much better. I want to I need a little acceleration in it right there. Put me some whopping right here because that was opened up, so it's kind of affected the acceleration shelf. Move that up a little bit as well. put some acceleration in it. Like I say, I like to bend it way on up in the blade. Put a little toward the center of the prop. Yeah, it's getting some of that in there. I don't know if you probably can't tell it, but that's the difference. I'm bringing this part up quite a bit to drive some of that water inside. Like I was saying, when you just dump it off the end, that's just wasted horsepower. All right, let's see what we got here. It was really high pitched on the tips, 8.7, and 8.1 is what we need. So I'm going to continue doing some of that to reduce the pitch on the tip and drive some of that water toward the inside. Yeah, it's getting better. Kind of like to bend it on in a little further here. Let's see if I can do that. So that means get my center here on up in here and try to bend it a little deeper in the wheel. It's a little harder to do, but I like a nice, big, long, smooth bend rather than a sharp cup. Evenly spaced cup is going to be a whole lot better. Man, blade 1 is way better. It may not be where I want it to be, but it's way better than what it was. All right, so what do we got here? We got this thing stuck way out there. That's the tips. Let's see what the tip is. That's pretty heavy. It's 8.5 on the tip. That's a little more than I like. Let's see. I'm going to put 8.5 there just so I'll remember it. All right, let's go into what I consider the good average pitch location of about right in there on this blade, and a little bit more, yeah, about right there. Average pitch, of course, is all about blade diameter too. So that's 10.1, man, which is I love going in. I think that works really well on Yamato. And here I was looking for about 12.2. I got 12.3. Man, that's close. Might need that little less, grabbing a little less water here to jump that higher pitch. That's not bad. Oh my God, that blade is so ugly now compared to that one. So yeah, we're gonna do something like that to the other ones. Yeah, I like that a lot. Let's measure out what my final pitch is. And I may leave it a little high. That's all right. See if we can pull it. It's definitely gonna be a better wheel. Might make a mod wheel rather than a stock wheel. Yeah, 12.1, man, that's right on. And still about 12.8 on, so it's still got quite a bit of pitch in there. But you know what? We're going to try that out, especially since the front edge has been brought up quite a bit. It's still 10.1 down here. But if we get out here on this end, where I brought that acceleration shelf up, let's see what we get about right in here. See how much progression we got. So that is 8.42. 9.9. That's a lot of progression. That's good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, buddy. So that's 8.4. Just for instance, let's look at one of these we hadn't messed with over here. And that's 9. So that's catching a whole lot more water at 9 pitch than that one at 8.4. So that's hurting it spinning up, right? It's grabbing more water this way. And lower pitch back here. So to me, it's wrong both ways on this blade. It's too high pitch here and too low pitch there. So we'll fiddle with that, but that's a good blade. We'll try that one out and see how it works. And this prop is one I've been working on ardent amount of time, and it originally looked exactly like this. This was its twin sister. I swapped for these a good prop for these two props that didn't work out of a guy's box. That's what I've come up with. That's what I'm building out of this blank. And this thing's heavy, man. It's twice as heavy as this is. I've cut the blades way down and thinned them. I've done a lot. I cut this one down from this blank. If you can see, I've got my tape pattern of the little blade that I ended up with on this wheel, so you can see how much I've cut off of it. Cut off quite a bit. And I think next time, or when I do this one, I'll leave a little bit more diameter, but not much. You know, with these tulip designs like that, you can't really get the rake that I want for the blade design that I'm looking for. Yeah, I appreciate you sitting through this long video. It's boat racing, right? Sitting here looking at stuff that we like to do and like to see, and maybe you picked up on something that might help you. You know, it's highly technical working on these things. You got these amazing terms like hummingbird wings that you got to learn. Man, get your hammer and beat on it. You know, find out what works for you and what you like. That's what I did. Been doing it for a long time, and have fun with it.